Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Episode, we're on 31?
Yeah.
31, right? So, as always, Laura here with Johnny, my co host. And today's episode, we're going to share with you guys the summer update, right? So, 2026, summer's coming down to an end, unfortunately, right? So, we are in the dog days of summer here. Um, Hopefully, you've been enjoying your summer. Um, but I think sometimes this month, right? Some people don't want summer to end, and some people really want it to end. So I don't know. Which one are you? Do you enjoy summer or?
I like the four seasons, man. I'd love to see it move into winter. But I think that, it's always nice to have good weather, right? It's always nice to have good weather here in the Twin Cities. And no one ever really wants to go into the cold, but I do think that, like I don't know, for me, I don't mind it. I welcome it because that's just so many more days closer to Christmas for me. So
Yeah, yeah. Me on the other hand, if I live somewhere warmer, I wouldn't mind. But I do not look forward to snow. And yeah, and when the leaves start dropping, I'm like, dang, okay, it's coming. So yeah, but yeah. So we're done with the spring market, right? Spring is usually the hot market. So now we're working through most of summer already. Um, Traditionally, this is kind of where the slow summer lull starts, right? Families start going on vacation. Buyers kind of start disappearing, right? Because they go into vacation mode. If you are a seller, historically, you list around this time, it kind of slow, right? At least
Mhm.
that's my
Mhm.
experience. You agree? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. In the Twin Cities, we experience kind of that same situation. Everybody's prepping up for school right now here in the Twin Cities, as well as the state fair. And so, like, we have one of the biggest, if not the biggest, state fair in the United States. And so, everybody's prepping up for that in the next 2 weeks here. And then from that point on, it's school mode, right? So anybody who's got any kind of kids or anything like that, they're getting ready to put their kids back into school. All the kids that are going to college, or all the young folks that are going back to college, they're prepping up for that. So we're going to see kind of a slowdown in our real estate mortgage industry, right? In the Twin Cities, anyways.
Right, right. So, I mean, you mentioned something like update on the real estate. I mean, it's kind of good that you and I we're not just realtors. Um, when I was just a realtor, I would always talk to my loan officer partners and be like, "Hey, what are you seeing on your end?" Right? Because
Hmm.
sometimes we see things differently, right? So we're both loan officers or both realtors. Um, so it's kind of cool. We get to see both sides of the business, and I would always ask my loan officers, "Hey, what are you seeing in terms of applications? Right? Are you seeing uptick in mortgage applications?" Which is always a good sign that whether the buyers are kind of come in or not, right? So, speaking of which, so let's just get started here
Hmm.
with the show, and yeah, let's talk about what have we seen so far. Let's go back a little bit to spring. How was that for you? What do you see in your market? And currently, what are you seeing, and what have you seen in summer?
Yeah, so far, beginning of the year was pretty busy for me, right? So coming off of November, December, I had
Mhm.
deals that were already in the process, and January, February was pretty busy, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden, April hits, mid-April, and everything starts to seem to kind of go weird, right? And then what is it? We had like before April 15th, we had like multiple offers on some of our deals. We had situations where we had to put in multiple bids or compete against others. And then once April 15th hit, like all of our deals were like the buyers could be picky. They could take their time to pick a little bit more. And we saw the days on the market start to inch up. And then of course it slowed down a little bit here once everything like one I mean we talked about it in the past, right? There was a bunch of economic uncertainties that just um killed the vibe is really what it did here in the
Sure.
Twin Cities. But I think that homes are still going pretty quick. Like we're still seeing 45-day market turn time, which is a lot faster than a lot of markets out there that I know of. I know we talked to someone in Florida and they recently said it's going to be 60 to 90 days, right?
Yeah.
And dude, that's for us, that would be killer, right? But it does it
Yeah.
does put our sellers in kind of a more challenging situation. So of
Mhm.
course we have to do, new strategies. Coming into the last couple of months, I've been seeing people come back onto the market. The ones that need to make moves, they got to make moves. So I'm starting to see business pick up again, but not significantly as I would have expected, during springtime until where we are at today.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean I saw very similar stuff what you just said, right? Spring was relatively busy. And then up right up to the point where the war started with Iran, right? And then the rates, yeah, I mean, one point we were under six, we were in the high fives. Everybody was like refis were starting to go pretty a lot, right? People were jumping into the market. I had people under contract, and then all of a sudden we're in a war, and then all of a sudden the rates tick up over six, get to 6.25, and then the energies started started slowing down to screech, right? And then
Yeah.
refis definitely stopped. So it has been kind of slow. Not gonna lie, July, towards the end of June there, July was a little bit slow in terms of buyer activity, right? Um, but in my market in Milwaukee, I mean, it's not as bad as what you mentioned, like Florida. I mean, even our market in Milwaukee moves a little bit faster than your market. I think our days on market for homes, average days on market, was still averaging around 30, right around 30. So
Nice, nice. That's
still,
good.
yeah, yeah. So homes were moving pretty good. I mean, as long as you price it right and it's clean and desirable, yeah, it's gonna sell. Um, but even we started seeing like your average home. We didn't really see like multiple bids, not that many anymore. Before in the spring, dude, it was crazy. It was like 3, 4 offers, right? Best and final, right? People waive inspections. But that was kind of like spring. But more recently, the last couple months, it has slowed down. We're to the point where, hey, if you're a buyer, you can ask for inspection again. Um, you can even get some seller credit, right? So it's, of course it depends. I mean, if you're chasing that house that everybody wants in the prime suburb location, um, those are still going to go with multiple offers for sure, no doubt, no doubt, because everybody wants to live there, right? So
Mhm,
when people
mhm.
ask when people ask how's the market, well, it really depends on what price range you're shopping, right? What bracket you're shopping at. So you have to consider those things as well. It's not a one size fits all, right? So what, I guess at this point, I mean, what the Fed just had their meeting, right? So
Yep, yep.
can you share what the Fed did and what you think about that?
Yeah, so the Feds had their meeting, and they announced that they're going to hold the rates where they're at, right? So, my understanding was they're holding it steady at 3.5% to 3.7% for the fifth straight time, which I don't think that's happened in a while. However, there was announcements, right, that so whenever the Feds meet, there's 12 of them that gets to vote as to the direction of where the rates are going to go, right? And when they met, three of them actually asked it to be hiked, right? They wanted the rate to increase. And so we're looking at, like, some uncertainties as to what the Feds kind of want to do. Now, they all voted to stay where they're at, and they did say that they're going to keep the rate here for a little while longer. And they're not 100% sure, right, if they're going to see cuts anytime soon. My thoughts on that is that I think, like, to be honest, looking at where CPI is going, right? CPI is a little bit higher than expected. Looking at the number of jobs, I can see why they made the decision that they did, right? And if they want to keep inflation from going crazy like a couple years ago, then they have to keep rates a little bit higher. Now, um, we'll see kind of what happens in the next couple of months when they go back and they make another decision to see whether they're going to lower it or not. But I think best case scenario, if we did, from a rate perspective, if you're expecting the rates to go down, best case scenario is we might have just one more rate decrease before the end of the year. If not, we may just see them hold out on this interest rate for for a longer period of time. So that's kind of what I would expect and what I'm seeing from my end.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, currently I'm seeing conventional interest rates around 6.625, 6.75. Is that what you're saying too? Yeah.
Yeah. So the Fed rate, at 3.5, 3.75 is kind of the base rate, right? So that's
Right.
what the banks are borrowing at. Now, our interest rates, what we're seeing is like 6.5 to about 7%. It
Yep.
depends on your credit score. Of course, if you don't have that great of a credit score, you're gonna see somewhere between the lower sevens. If you have really, really good credit scores, we might be able to get you down to 6.5. But I think that you're going to be in kind of that range where it's going to be high sixes, low sevens. My thoughts are is that that's probably what we're going to be seeing for the remainder of most of this year. That's what I anticipate.
Okay. So that's your rate, Johnny's rate prediction.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
No
Yeah. I
crystal
mean,
ball, but that's just my opinion.
I think if the global war unsteadiness keeps it up, I think we may even get closer to 7 or even low 7. I think that's what I think.
Mm.
The war that we've supposedly won 40 times already, but somehow we're still
Right.
fighting it. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, if no resolution gets made and things get even worse, I definitely see that going higher. So
Mhm,
um
mhm.
yeah. And then as far as prices goes, what's your prediction on home prices?
Well, so here in the Twin Cities, we're actually still seeing home prices go up. Even though interest rates are going up, home prices are also going up. So, we talked a little bit about stagflation, right? And my thoughts are is that I don't see home prices coming down. I really don't. Um, and
Mhm.
the reason is because I think we haven't healthy enough amount of buyers and sellers that are out there looking for homes within the specific neighborhoods. I think that home prices will continue to rise because there just isn't enough homes for everybody to go and live in. And so
Yeah.
the population rate continues to make more people need to then go like, so a lot of the millennials didn't buy early on in their life, right? So
Mhm.
right now we're looking at a lot of 40-year-olds coming into the market and wanting to purchase up a lot of homes out there, and there's just not that many homes still on the market. So home prices continue to rise even though interest rates are also rising with it in
Yeah.
the Twin Cities here.
Okay.
What are you
Okay.
seeing?
Um, yeah, I mean, my prediction, I guess, and what I've been seeing a little bit of is that as we head into the end of summer, into fall, winter here, um, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for buyers, if they want to be able to get a deal. I mean, there's not going to be any kind of crazy correction or crash that I'm seeing, right? And that's when buyers ask, "Oh, well, that's what buyers are waiting for, right? They're waiting for that dip, right?" I would not say that dip is coming. I would say what you can expect is you can expect to negotiate, get like maybe 10,000, 15, 20,000 off, right? Depends on what you're shopping, which price range, right? But it's a good opportunity to possibly negotiate a little bit of closing cost credits, right? Help you get into that home if you don't have enough down payment. Possibly use it towards your buy down, right? To buy down your rate. Um, but as far as overall pricing, like it's not gonna be anything like a major discount, right? Or significant to cause a bunch of people to jump in, right? Is what I'm saying. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my prediction.
Yeah, so I've actually on the mortgage side of things, right? I've been seeing that the 1.0 buy downs, right?
Uh-huh.
As well as the 2.1 buy downs,
Yeah.
they've been a little bit more popular, right? And so
Right.
um they allow you to jump in, get a lower interest rate. You got the sellers that are helping out pay seller closing costs, assuming you qualify for that.
Hmm.
And they're paying for that buy down, allowing people to have, a instead of, let's say for example it was 7, right, and you got the 2-1 buy down, it's kind of running at about 5% for the first year, 6% for the second year before it returns to the true rate at 7%, right?
Right.
But the hopes is that by 2 years you will be able to refinance. Now, if you don't, and let's say for example the rates go up, well, at least you locked it in at the 7%, and it's going to be 7% for the rest of the next 30 years. But if rates do go down, then it gives you the chance to go ahead and jump in and do a refinance, putting you in a better position,
Hmm.
and getting the house that you want at a lower price, right? Because if you
Yeah.
waited 2 years and let's say rates do come down 2 years from now and the home prices continue to go up, well, I don't know if you can afford it when you get there because the house might be too expensive, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's a tough call to make, right? But my thoughts are is that if that's the situation you run into, you have to
Yeah.
crunch your numbers and you have to make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So yeah, since we're on the topic of rates, right? And one of rates are one of the common things why somebody might be waiting to buy, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
especially a buyer, they might be like, well, I'm waiting for the rates to come down, right? And
Hmm.
just from hearing our prediction that, hey, you know what? It does not look like rates are coming down, guys. Sorry. Um, so as a buyer, you might be kind of like deflated, right? Like, okay. Um, but quite honestly, like you said, if the only thing that's stopping you from buying, right, you can afford the payment, your credit is good. The only thing stopping you is the rates. You have this thing that is stopping you from buying a home because you think the rates are too high. I mean, you just mentioned a couple solutions. We just talked about a couple solutions, right? Like the buy down,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
you can get the credit from the seller to help buy the rate down, right? So that you have the temporary relief. There's also permanent buy down, right? You can permanently buy it down with discount points, right? Um,
Correct.
right. And then also since you're talking to mortgage brokers here, possibility is we can also get you a lender credit where you can use that to buy the rate down, right? Um,
Yeah.
so there's a ton of opportunity is really what we're trying to tell you. Don't just be looking at the number, waiting for that number to drop, and then think, okay, now it's time to jump in, right? Because it's kind of like everybody waiting for a good deal. When do you catch that falling knife, right? Like when is it the time to get in, right? You don't know, right? If you're trying to time it, good luck, right? Um, by the time you see the rates drop, everybody and their brother is going to be doing an application. Everybody's going to be like fighting for that house. At that point, good luck, right? The price is gonna everybody's gonna bid the prices up. So I think, right, listen to us, talk to your own professionals, as you know, run what we're telling you past your own people, right? And if it sounds like it's what we're telling you is legit, why not use it to get you in a house today, especially if the only thing holding you back is the rate, right? So
Hmm.
anything you
Hmm.
want to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing that I have is that, people are so concerned about the rate, right?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
honest truth is, can you actually handle the payment, right?
Yes.
That's
Correct.
it's not so much about the rate, right? I think from my perspective, the interest rate it just is what it is, right? And so when you
uh
go in, yeah, maybe during our COVID season, we had like crazy, crazy low rates. It made it put everybody in a position where they want to see those low rates again before they do anything. But the honest truth is that, guys, we're not going back to
no.
2.5% interest rates. That's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And so we were in an economic state where everybody thought everybody was dying actually because of
Yeah.
COVID,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right,
um,
everybody thought half the people thought the world was gonna end, right?
right, right. So
So, very few people were like, "Oh, wait, the world's on fire right now, people are dying left and right, let me go buy a house." Very few
yeah.
people were like, "Let me go buy a house right now." Right?
Right. So
So,
we're
yeah.
we're in a whole different environment, and my thoughts are is that there's still people out there buying homes, whether
Mhm.
you like it or not. Now, are there markets where they're seeing a massive correction? I think there are, right?
There are,
I've
there are.
seen, but usually they're not in one of the major hubs, right? They're not like,
Yeah.
we're not seeing it in the Twin Cities. We're not seeing it in Milwaukee. I'm pretty confident that you're not going to see it in some of the major cities, but there are going to be these cities that, people are leaving because there's just less jobs, and due to the microeconomics, the homes are dropping. Now that
Yeah.
happened even when interest rates were low. So
Yeah.
um my thoughts are is that, if you can make the payments and you want to get in a home because it's going to better your family, that
Mhm.
is a decision that you will have to make. And
Correct.
my like we talked about this before. For me, even at, I think my first interest my house the first interest rate was like 6.5, and I
Mhm.
had 100% financing, and I did it, and I do not regret buying my first house. In fact,
Mhm.
I wish I could have bought more at that time, right?
Yeah.
Anybody buying with 100% financing probably wish that they could have bought a bunch of homes at 100% financing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, so you mentioned 100% financing. I mean, we have programs right now. Like, if you really wanted to do 100% financing, we have programs that can do 105% financing, right? As long as you qualify,
nice.
right? And you're willing to carry that second, right? So
Right,
basically,
right.
you get a first loan for the 95% or whatever, and then
Mhm.
you get a second loan that's going to cover both your down payment and the closing costs. So those programs do exist, but you have to be willing to pay for it. In terms of the rate, it is going to be higher, right? Because they're giving you all the money. So there are strings attached, right?
Yeah.
It's not out of the kindness of their hearts.
Well, I mean, I think that has to do with specific cities, often specific counties, and they have rules and regulations around all of
That's
that
true.
stuff.
Yeah,
They
that's true.
have
Yeah.
income guidelines and everything. It might not
Income,
be for the majority.
right, right.
Back in my
Income,
days, like, a lot of people could go and get 100% financing. Like, the
yeah,
average
credit
person
score
could have
too.
got
Yeah,
100%
credit
financing. But
score too.
these Yeah, these days what I've seen is, like, so in our state, you can't get purely 100% financing, but you might be able to get um more than you think that you could, right? So we
Mhm.
do have down payment assistance that provide, like, 15, 14, $15,000 seconds, just like you said, down payment assistance.
Yep, yep.
Um and if you're in the average range, that will cover most of your down payment, right? It
Oh,
might be closer to like 99%, right, instead of
mm.
100%. So 105 is super cool, man. Like, if you guys got that program out
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
awesome.
We do. You gotta look at it. You gotta look at it. I think it's called Orion. Orion has that.
Okay.
And I think Giant Lending too. Giant Lending offers 105 too. But yeah, yeah. I mean, you have to qualify for it too, right? So it's not for everybody.
Mhm, mhm,
But yeah, yeah, those programs are out there. But it all depends, right? And like we talked about last week's episode, that hey, if this is the only way you can get into a house today, and it could change your family's life, your lifestyle, a home for your kids, permanent home, right? That's
mhm,
huge, right? Especially if you can get in today and you can afford the payment. You can afford the payment, just do it, right? Because
mhm,
it's going to change it's a lot more than just getting a home. It's changing your whole life, right? So,
mhm,
um,
mhm,
okay. And then I guess, I mean, that I was going to talk about. So we talked about rates. I was going to talk about down payment, right? And I mean, heck, if you don't care about that and you can afford it, go ahead and go get a second loan, right? That covers your closing costs, your down payment. I mean, that would help. Of course, we have grants and all that stuff out there, but the grants are a little bit more tricky with the income limitations, and then sometimes geographical limitations, right?
mhm,
So those are a little bit more tricky, but for sure, you could still implement things like ask the seller for closing cost credits if it's the right property situation, meaning it's been sitting for a while, seller's getting a little bit desperate. Instead of asking for a price cut, be smart. Go ask for a closing cost credit, right? So now the seller's going to cover your closing cost credit. You just have to provide the down payment now, right? So those, you have to learn how to structure these deals to make sense for you. So work with your agent, right, and your lender as well. There could be possible lender credit, right, that will help you out as well if your capital is a little short, right. So yeah, any other ideas you have for down payment?
Yeah. So, um, I think down payment specifically, I don't have anything more, right? Like I
Okay.
think that some people are using gifts, right?
Okay.
They're getting gifts from family members, which helps out
Mhm.
as a significant amount.
Yeah.
Some people are, we talked about in the last episode.
Yep.
Some people are using the weird down payment stuff like Pokemon cards and such. So if you got a collection, you can jump in and you can do that. But what I was gonna say was um when you are out there and you're getting ready to buy and um shoot, I lost my train of thought. I think that
Well, if you remember it, let me know. But we did talk
yeah, we'll
about
have to come back to it.
retirement funds too. So last
Yeah,
episode we
yeah,
talked really about retirement funds. Should you access your retirement funds? And
correct.
so your IRA, right? You can take up to 10,000 penalty free if you have an IRA. 401k, if you have a company funded 401k or your employer funded. Most people, most IRA 401k companies allow 50% of the balance or a max of 50K. So that you would borrow, not an early withdrawal. You borrow it as a loan against your own 401k, and then you pay it back. You pay yourself back with interest. So those are the options. Yeah, and then you mentioned the Pokemon thing was pretty genius because I think that's pretty huge right now. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people
Hmm.
collecting Pokemon, and yeah, I'm all for it. You can sell it if you can find a card that's worth 50,000. Man, you better go sell that right now. I would if I had a card 50,000, 300,000. Yeah, I'll be. You better believe it. I'm gonna go find a buyer.
Yeah, I think earlier what I wanted to say was, there's room for negotiation now, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you kind of mentioned it, and there's so many different ways to negotiate now, and
Yeah.
and especially for homes that have been on the market for longer than 60 days,
Mhm.
they're ripe for negotiating. Sometimes it's a drop in price. Sometimes it is seller credits.
Mhm.
Sometimes it is like say for example you want them to repaint the house, they'll repaint the house, right? So there's a bunch of different ways to negotiate right now.
Mhm.
So whether like I think if you don't have the down payment, um I get it, right?
Yeah.
Try the down payment assistance programs, but if you're ready, I mean, it doesn't even require much, right? We're looking at maybe, if you're a first time home buyer, 3%, right? 3% down,
Mhm.
and then you can negotiate the closing costs, and that's what I think $9,000 for a $300,000 house. And if you're in the market where you're buying way more than that, then of course it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But
Yeah.
um, 3% is not an insignificant amount. I mean, it's not a significant amount where you can't figure out a way to find the
Mhm.
funds to make it happen. And at least that's my
Correct.
thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, it all depends on the house that you want. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, for some reason, if you want to go buy a $600,000 house, you better have the money to bring up, right? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
5% of a $600,000 house is what is that, 30K, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, 30K, and then
Mhm,
closing costs on top of that. Probably by then you might be around 50K, 60K all in.
mhm, mhm,
Um, So yeah, I mean, but if you have the means to do it, it might be the prime opportunity, especially if you're a new construction buyer. As we get towards closer to the end of the year, builders they have inventory that they want to get off the books before the end of the year, and you better believe they're going to be running their specials. They're going to be giving money back to the buyer, possibly upgrades, possibly loan incentives, right? So there's tons of benefits if you are capable of buying into that price range and you want to. It all depends on what you're shopping for, right? So
mhm. Yeah, it's funny because a couple years ago, I had this builder that we did business with. They ran
Mhm.
a Black Friday sale, right? I
Oh, really?
didn't know builders did a Black Friday sale.
Really?
Like, um, and
Oh, wow.
we got like a good $10,000 discount off the purchase price. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, I think that if you're working with builders, jump in. Like some of the builders out in Florida, I saw they were offering like I thought it was like a 3.99 interest rate, right?
Mhm,
3.99%
mhm.
interest rate. And
Yep.
so, if you want to go buy and you're in an area where the builders are offering really, really good interest rates, or like my
Right.
understanding was that they were arms, right? So
Sure, sure.
make sure you read the fine lines. That's not going to be 3.99% for 30 years. It's probably going to be
No.
3.99 for 5 years or something, three to 5 years, or maybe even 7 years. So
Right.
go in, double check your numbers, make sure they look right. Um,
Yeah.
Read the fine lines, and I think it's time to jump in some of the markets out there. It's time to really dive in and be like, hey,
Yeah.
so if you're ready to invest, right? For example, it's time to invest. So
Yeah. I know.
um, yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of opportunity out there right now.
Right, right. Yeah, so, like, our friends in Texas, right, our partners in tech Dallas area for sure. Dallas, Houston, where tons of homes are being built left and right. They have those, 3, 2, 1 buy downs, right? So
Mhm,
3% off your first year, 2% off your rate on your second year, and then 1% off, right? And then back to normal. Um, so if you're thinking about it, it could take your 6% right now to your first year is gonna be 3%, right? And then next year it's 2% off of that, so it's maybe 4, and then after that 5, and before it goes back to the regular rate. So it gives you a little
mhm.
bit of time, and then like you said, if you want to play the game and see where the rates go, you can always refi in that right before that third year comes up or whatever, right? Um, so yeah, that those are some creative strategies. Something that you talked about a little bit earlier about homes in Florida. I saw something on TikTok today while I was like scrolling through, and it said that Cape Coral, right? Cape Coral and the state of Florida too, especially, but they have the most amount of homes that are sitting vacant, like 10,000 to 14,000. Like,
That's insane. What?
yeah, yeah, right. Because I mean, look at it; it's Florida, right? Especially Cape Coral.
Yeah.
If you know anything about the history of Cape Coral, that's a boom bust market, right?
Mhm, mhm.
During the Great Crash, dude, those they got murdered. Those houses got murdered, like, and then because it's a vacation destination, it's a second home, right? That's what they're known
Mhm,
for,
mhm.
right? And so, of course, if it's a second home market, of course they're sitting empty, right? Right, unless you actually live there, right? Or you actually moved into your retirement home, right? So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So markets like Florida, there's a ton of homes, ton of opportunity if you want to move to Florida, right? Let us know. We got a partner down there, right at Cape Coral.
Mhm, mhm.
And so those prices that are down there, they're correcting hard. They're correcting pretty good right now. You can get pretty good deals right now. And especially as we move on to the rest of the year too. So if you're looking for that canal house with the dock, right, and ride your boat out to sea, it's definitely possible. Might be that time to get that Florida house. Um, so yeah, that was funny. I saw that video when you're talking about some markets where it's correcting, but yeah, places
Mhm.
like Florida, of course, and then Vegas is sometimes like that too, that boom bust market. So all right, so let's talk about what are some strategies for that buyers should be implementing right now. What's your advice for buyers that actually, if you're a buyer, you actually want to buy, right? That's the key here, that you actually do want to buy. What's your action plan for something like that?
So I think we talked a little bit about this, right? But to go over it and let's to break it down, right?
Mhm.
So if you have to buy, right?
Yeah.
If you have to buy, I think as long as you can afford the payment, marry
Mhm.
the house, date the rate. Later, when the interest rates are better, go ahead and refinance. If it's not, hey, at least you can afford the house. You're in a house. You're building equity. you're in a position where you're going to be better off. Worst case scenario, later on you want to buy a house, you can rent that house out to someone else. They can pay the bills, and then you can go and buy a different house, which will then build your portfolio, right?
Mhm.
Secondly, I think buy downs, right? We talked about buy downs. You can jump in a buy down and
Mhm.
get, the interest rate to be lower in the first few years. The second
Mhm.
one after that, um, get a real pre-approval, right? Like that's a strategy. Like get a real pre-approval. Don't guess. Don't go out there to someone that's just going to give you like a prequal. Actually send your documentations and have them pull your credit report. Look at the numbers and actually look at, how is your debt compared to the housing debt that you have compared to your current income, and don't guess, right? And then finally, at the end of the day, um, if you can't make the if you can't make the numbers work, right? The paperwork just shows that you can't handle the payment, right? um then you wait, right? If you have to wait, you'll wait. But the thing is that, um if you don't have to wait, you probably shouldn't, right?
Mhm.
Rates do fluctuate. They can go up, they can go down. Nobody knows at the
Mhm.
end of the day. Um, but if you miss the house, you miss the opportunity for your kids to be in the right location for education purposes. You miss the ability to, save on gas because you're not close enough to your place of employment. I mean, you name it, right?
Yeah.
If you can afford it and you can buy, I recommend that you go ahead and take action and jump in.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I totally have to agree with you on that, and, I think it's like it comes down to really, do you actually wanna buy, right? That's
Mhm,
really the thing. So
mhm,
it's kind of, if you really do wanna make it happen, then you're gonna make it happen, right? And it's kinda interesting because I had a brand new client that I just, I he found me on Google, and I think it was, like, last Wednesday, right? Wednesday evening last week. I just finished eating dinner with the family. My phone rings. I'm like, random number. I'm like, it's like 6, 7 PM. I'm like, dude, should I answer it? I answered it. And then he's like, hey, you're a realtor, right? I was like, yep. And then he's like, yeah, I found this house. I want to buy it. I haven't seen it yet though. I was like, huh? What? What do you mean? Like, you want to buy a house? You haven't seen it yet? Do you want to see it first before you write an offer? He's like, oh, yeah, I should probably see it first. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, that house didn't work out because it was rented out. So I looked it up and it was rented out. But anyway, the point is, this buyer was very motivated to buy, right? Very extremely motivated. And I was like, hey, you got a pre-approval? He's like, yeah, I got one. I was like, who's it from? Rocket. Like, oh, yeah. Go get another one, please. Like, I would highly recommend you get another pre-approval. Don't go with Rocket, right? Because Rocket just convenience, quick, but like you just mentioned earlier, you never know if they're actually looking at your stuff, right? So he
mhm.
went, he the next couple of days he went, he got one from US Bank, which was US Bank, and he talked to the local loan officer, looked at all his docs. I called the loan officer, like, hey, did you look at the stuff? He's like, yep, I looked at it. He's good. I was like, okay, that works for me. And he actually got a higher pre-approval than from US Bank than Rocket. So I was like, wow, okay,
Nice.
cool. And so he told, he sent me the pre-approval, said, okay, awesome, you got higher amount. Now we can look at a little bit better houses. And the next day we looked at some, I think it was Friday, and then we looked at two. And he's a FHA buyer too. And so there's limitations on property condition, things like that. So I was like, nah, this one, you might have issues with FHA. This other one's better. He's like, all right, cool. Put an offer in. Put the offer in. And the agent and I go back and forth. We're negotiating, because the house been on the market for 30 days, right? So we're negotiating it, and then we come to some middle ground, right? He's to the point where he's like, okay, I think my seller will be okay with that. And then sure enough, he sends it over to his seller. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, my seller probably won't sign until Monday. Okay, I was like, that's fine, whatever. So I submitted the offer, the updated offer. within like 2 hours, he's like, "Hey, here's the accepted offer. Congrats." So now my guy's sitting pretty. He's like, "Damn, I already got the house." He's, and they already did an inspection before because the house fell through because of the buyer's financing. So buyer's financing fell through, nothing really due to the house, and so we already seen the inspection report, and so we kind of already have a good idea of what's wrong with the house. So now my buyer doesn't have to pay for inspection because he already knows, and he's comfortable with not doing his own. And so now we're off to just waiting for the appraisal and waiting for closing, and all that happened within 5 days, not even.
Nice.
So it really comes down to, hey, are you really motivated to buy? Do you know what you want to buy, right? And you'll make it happen, right? Because he's renting right now. I mean, and the thing is, I mean, if you're renting and you make good money, why wouldn't you buy, right? You're just throwing
Mhm,
your money away
mhm.
renting, right? When you could benefit from the equity increase, the benefits of home ownership, not living in an apartment, right? Lots of lifestyle benefits, right? The only thing, there's lots of benefits, right? And so it's kind of a no-brainer. But just, I guess, to end the rant, I mean, just biggest thing is you get into the house today, and in the future, like we were talking about, prices can always go up. Who's to say you can't, in the future, you may not be able to afford a home anymore because the prices are
Mhm.
continuing to climb, and really it's supply and demand, right? There's not enough homes out there, right? And especially the areas you want to be in, prices are going up in all areas, right? So
Mhm.
you keep waiting, the house you want to be in, the location you want to be in, it may not be in your cards anymore, right? That's the honest
Yeah.
truth right there. So let's switch over to sellers. So we talked a little bit about summer, fall. It's going to start to slow down. What's the game plan for a seller? What do you, if they have to sell, right? We're not talking about sellers who make me move, may offer me the money I want, and I'll sell my home. That's not the type of seller we want to deal with. Uh, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking.
Yeah,
The
yeah, I
ones who
know
are like,
exactly what you're talking
my house
about.
is the best. It's magically 100,000 over my neighbor's house because it's 100 square feet more. Like, no, man, like, get out of here. Like, the comps don't even support it, right? Like, I guess to deal, if you're that type of seller, you have to understand that there are three prices. There's your price as the seller, the buyer's price, the market, right? What they're willing to pay, and then there's the appraiser's price, right? And if all three don't match, guess who wins? the, you get to keep your house, right? So,
Right.
what about sellers who are actually trying to sell? What's the strategy for those people?
Yeah, so right now, I think one, you have to be realistic, right? You really have to be realistic, which means you have to price the house right within the first 2 weeks. In the Twin Cities here, if you're not priced right in the first 2 weeks, man, you're gonna have a hard time selling your house. And when I say price right, I mean like your house has to be in a condition to sell, number one, right? So that means that you have to prep up, make sure everything looks good. And if it doesn't look good, then you have to drop your price significantly in comparison to what houses are selling on for the market. So, for example, if you come in and your house smells like smoke, right? What is the likelihood of your house selling over the house that doesn't smell like smoke?
Mhm.
It's significantly less. And so
Right.
if you I mean, look, if you get lucky and you get someone that doesn't care about the smoke smell because they smoke too, um, then you get lucky. But the chances are the average people that comes into your house are gonna not want the house to smell like smoke. They're not gonna want the house colored pink, right? Meaning like the living room is gonna be pink. So the house has to be, in a good condition, truly show ready, and it has to be priced right. Meaning, my thoughts
Mhm.
are, in my opinion, right now, in order to get multiple offers in, you have to be priced so good that it makes people want to jump in, right? So my thoughts are is that go low first, and if you don't get that low price in the next, couple of days, then maybe you can increase it and see where it goes, right? Um, and then another thing is, even if you go low, you're gonna have to be ready for concessions. people are going to be asking for closing costs. People are going to be asking for you to repair things. People are going to be asking for lower, like for you to help pay for the buy downs. If you're a seller, get ready to pay for that stuff, right? We can negotiate around that stuff as realtors, right? So, like, an offer comes in, we're going to see if we can negotiate with them to come up, even though they want the current price and they want the buy down, right? So allow them to come in. Don't take offense of the concessions, because when they're making an offer, that's a real deal that is coming through. And then market aggressively. Make sure all of your photos are good. Make sure the videos are good. Sellers, if you have a realtor and you go onto their website and you look at the photos that they took of your house and you wouldn't buy your house, nobody else is going to want to buy your house. So make sure that the photos are in good shape. They don't have to be like the best or anything, but as long as they're good enough for you to be able to walk in and see that the house is in a good condition, right? And then make sure you market aggressively, meaning you need to reach out to social media with photos and with video. It's not just about putting the putting the sign in the yard anymore. You can't just wait for deals to come through. Now, does that still happen? Yes, absolutely. But you have to market aggressively. And then finally, you have to have a real conversation with your realtor, right? You have to ask them, is this actually going to take 30 days or is it going to take less? And, sometimes as realtors, we don't know, right? Because for all we know, there could be someone in the market that wants your exact house at the exact time you listed it. However, what we're able to do is analyze the market for you and give you market data and say, hey, currently in the current market, it takes about 45 days for us to close. As long as your house is show ready, we're good to go, right? And then, show ready also depends on your location, right? If you're located where everybody is, has brand new cabinets and countertops, and you do not, like, the people that are coming through are not going to want to buy your house, right? And if you're in a area where they don't have granite countertops, but you go in there, you put granite countertops in there, there's a likelihood that you'll be able to sell faster, but there's also a likelihood that they're just not used to that, so they may not offer, right? So I think that it's important for you to know your neighborhood. It's important for you to know that your realtor knows what's necessary for that specific neighborhood. And I think that as long as that is the case and you do your best, be prepared for 60 days. Like I'm telling my folks now, be prepared 60, 90 days, right? Be prepared
Mm.
for it. Do not go out there and get a rental property and then have 2 monthly payments that you cannot afford. If you can afford it, fine, right? 90 days, 120 days, if you can afford it, fine. But now you also have to have a backup strategy. If you can't afford it, are you going to be able to, cancel that agreement with the new tenant? Because guess what? Your mortgage payment, if the house isn't sold, you still have to make it. So, my thoughts are is that, be prepared for all those things and make sure that you do what you need to do. The market's going to be slower, and that's okay, right? If you're going to sell anyways, price it right and you should be fine.
Yep, I have to agree with that. So, I mean, I think one of the biggest things, like what you mentioned, right? If you're a seller, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to disconnect your emotions from your house, your emotional attachments,
Mhm.
right? You have to
Yeah.
be objective, right? You really have
Mhm.
to think from a buyer's perspective, right? If you were a real buyer, would you buy your house in the shape it is for the price that you
Mhm.
think it's worth, right?
Yep.
You have to be real with yourself. And at the same time, you have to work with an agent who's willing to tell you the truth and not be offended
Mhm.
by the truth, right? It is not the agent hating on you. They're just telling you what the market is gonna, is showing right now, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's up to you if you hire the agent who's gonna feed you what you want to hear, right? And then your house sits for 2 months, 3 months, and then you're gonna be like, "Hey, agent, you told us this. Now why is my house not selling? Why is nobody
Mhm.
looking?
Mhm.
Right? Why do I have no offers?" right? Because you chose to go with that agent who told you what you wanted to hear versus the agent who told you the truth and you didn't want to listen to them.
Yep.
So it happens, right? It
Mhm.
happens, especially when the markets do tend to slow down. You know, so that's definitely something important for sellers to actually listen and to verify, right? Listen and verify the
Mhm.
information coming back, right? Um, so yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add on that part. What about a seller who doesn't want to fix anything and they just want to sell as is? Their house may be a little bit beat up. What do you have? What strategy there?
I'd say we can throw it on the market, but be ready for lowball offers, right? Be ready
Hmm.
for lowball offers. Just know that you're going to be holding on for a really long time. So if you have to sell, guess what? You're going to have to continue to drop the price until someone jumps on it. If you don't have to sell, right, but you want to sell and you're willing to put it on the market and wait for a buyer to come in, still market at the correct price, right? So, say for example, you need $50,000 of repairs, you're gonna have to drop your price by probably more than $50,000 because someone's gonna have to come in and be willing to do the headache, right?
Right.
That you're unwilling to do. And so,
Correct.
say for example, you got $300,000 house, the repairs are about $50,000. If you drop it to 200, there's likely going to be someone that's going to jump on it, right? Or
Hmm.
we can send it over to our investors and find out if our investors want to jump on it. However, if you're thinking that you have a house at 300,000 and the repairs are 50,000 and you're going to be able to sell it at 250 and you're going to be able to net about 250, good luck. It's just not going to happen, right? Um,
Mm.
so I mean, we can leave it on the market in hopes, right? But I'm gonna be honest, I don't really work on hopes. I work on
Hope
actualities.
is not a
So
strategy, right? Hope is not
yeah, we work
strategy.
on strategies,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you gotta have the correct pricing strategy in there. A lot of
Right.
investors are out there, they're looking at that 70% rule still, where they want to buy the house at 70% of what it's worth minus repair costs, right? So
Right.
that's
Right.
what investors are going to be looking at. That's what, like, if someone's going to come and they're going to offer you, like, let's say for example, they're a big box brand out there, there's a couple of them out there, and you want them to buy your house, right? And you want them to provide you with the best offer, they're going to provide you with a 70% below market value offer. So be ready for something like that, especially if you want like cash and you want it to close quickly. Um, just it
Yep.
Otherwise it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if you don't want to do the repairs. It's going to sit on the market for days and you're going to wonder why it's not selling. But the thing is, the exact reason why it's not selling. It's because your house is not in condition for it to go onto the market.
Well, it's because you're asking too much for the condition.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Right. Right. Everything sells. Everything sells for the right price.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, at the end of the day, I mean, as a seller, if you do have to sell, the biggest thing is what is your goal, right? Is your goal really to get the highest amount of money? Maybe not. Your goal is to sell the house, move on with your life, buy the next house, do whatever you need to do, right? The highest price, that's probably not priority number one, right? Priority number one is get rid of that house so you can move on with your life, right?
Mhm.
So you have to be honest with yourself on your motivation and you have to be realistic, um, and realize that, hey, you may not get what you think your house is worth, right? And if you're able to sell your house and not have to fix anything and just move on, that might be a win by itself, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
What
even if you
about
have to pay in, right? There's some folks that have to pay in when they close. And even if you have to pay in, sometimes it's the right move to make.
yeah, yeah, if you have the money. If you don't, then you're SOL.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen that. I've been at a table where I was on my side and the seller didn't have the money because he was upside down.
Mhm.
Did not have the money to close. So basically, we couldn't buy his house, unfortunately.
Bummer. It does happen. It does happen.
Yeah. Very, very rarely. But it's like, hey, how do you not know that you can't make up the closing costs or that you can't pay off your mortgage? So, oh man, yeah, that was a sad one. So yeah, let's talk about investors. Lastly, here, what's the strategies for investors for the rest of 2026 here?
So, I think that there's a few different strategies, right? Of course, these days with the market not moving as fast, you're not going to be looking at appreciation as much. You're going to be looking more at cash flow. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't jump into forced appreciation, right? Because there is still forced appreciation, but just regular appreciation. It's homes are not going as fast as they used to. We saw like 12% increase, over the last few years. My thoughts are is that if it slows down, you're going to run into issues if you're hoping for that 9 to 12%. So instead, look at cash flow, right? Run the numbers. If the house cash flows, then the likelihood is that even if you're going to lose out from an appreciation standpoint, you're still going to have a cash flowing house, which will produce income and someday will be valued significantly higher, right? The others is look for motivated sellers, right? Look at stale listings, which means like I think that the where you can begin negotiations after 60 days, right? Where you can begin some aggressive negotiations for investors is after 60 days. But like imagine if the house was on there for 6 months, right? For 6 months, and you've seen the price drop and drop and drop, right? Hey, go out there and ask for the price that you want. They might just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thoughts is run your numbers, right? And it's not about hoping for interest rates to come down, but just to make sure that the deal actually works, right? And so if the deals work, you're still going to be able, and sometimes you got to price it in and you got to say, okay, so what is it going to be like if my rate, my interest rate was like 7.5%, right? If you want to jump in and you want to buy, if the income source is producing more than 7.5%, hey, you might be onto something. You might want to jump into that. I see people do that on Airbnb like all the time on vacation rentals where they're receiving significantly more than the interest rate or the monthly payment, right? Maybe 2-3 times the amount of their monthly payment. And so if you're able to do that, great. That might be a good deal. And then another thought is that for investors, you guys might have someone that that has a lot of capital that they can't distribute because right now people just are not buying as much. So that being said, they might be willing to give you a lower interest rate, especially if they're a portfolio type lender, or if they're not a portfolio lender, they're a private lender. They might be able to finance that for you at a much lower rate. Secondly, if you're seeing houses on the market for more than 6 months, you might be able to ask if they'd be willing to seller finance. And you don't know, they might be willing to seller finance that. So that means sometimes, especially like in the commercial industry, right? Sometimes they seller finance 100%. So it doesn't hurt to ask and find out where they're at. Now, my thoughts are is that most people will not seller finance 100%. They might seller finance like 75% of the transaction, but that's still better than if you went with a higher interest rate. And then finally on like value adds, right? If you jump into a place where you can see, like I said, force appreciation, right? Where you can see, hey, this neighborhood doesn't have a lot of bidding wars, right? It's slightly cooled off. This specific property is on the market for more than 60 days, and I like to jump in and buy it at a lower price because it needs, updates. Say for example, the furnace is old, the AC unit is old, the floorings are old, and it needs a full remodel. Well, you might be able to get a better price. And so sometimes it's buying like look, for investors, it's always buying right. right? So it's not about buying it in hopes of making money. It's when you buy it, you had to have already made money. So my thoughts are is that if you're going in with that philosophy and you're going with that process, the likelihood is that you'll be fine. Just know your markets too, because if you're in a market where they're depreciating dramatically, and you're not jumping in there for cash flow, and you're jumping in there for forced appreciation, and the house value goes down like by 100,000, that's gonna hurt you. So,
Yep.
understand the market that you're going into as well.
Correct. Yep. Yep. So probably not a good idea to try that in a market like Florida where it's correcting, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So but yeah, I agree with all that. And then like I guess as an investor moving forward, you always gotta again, you gotta know what your goals are, right? Know exactly
mhm,
what kind of
mhm,
strategy you want to do, what your goals are, have backup strategies in case things go wrong because they will. Um, so meaning like, hey, if you're planning to do a flip, but you can't sell the flip, um, put a renter in, right? Put a renter
mhm,
in, do a DSCR refinance, right? Talk to us, we help you out with that. Get your money out of the hard money loan, and then get into a fixed rate loan with a DSCR refi, and then you just hold it for a couple of years, right? And then when the market does turn back, you decide to sell, you sell, right? Or when if you're tired of collecting rent, right? Um, so I guess that would be the thing to do. And then um, in my market, Milwaukee, I mean, there's still good deals around. When we do see them, especially the really good ones, the prime locations, and the price looks very attractive. You better believe there's a ton of activity on it, right? And within 1 to 2 days, multiple offers, best and final. People are waiving inspection, uh, quick close, 2 weeks, right? Cash or hard money only, right? So that's the other thing. If you're an investor, you better figure out your finances, have your funding ready to go. What is your strategy? How do you plan to fund, right? Before you pick up the phone and talk to somebody about buying one, or if you need help where to find the funds, we can help you find it if you have places, right? If you don't have places where we can help you find it, then it may be difficult, right? Meaning like, hey, if you own other properties, whether it's your primary or other investment properties, if you do have equity, we can help tap that equity for you through refi, right? Refi, cash out refi, or a HELOC, right?
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
so even investment properties, we can do that for you, so that now you can use that equity that's just been sitting there in that house and trapped to go get more houses, right? Um, or if you're really well off for some reason, you've got rich people problems, you got too much cash, you could do things like go buy the house cash, and we could do a delayed financing strategy, right? Where you buy cash and then we just put a loan on it after you're done, and basically you get your money back. Now you can go play again, right? So
mhm,
so yeah, we got lots of solutions. It's just a matter of, you know what your goals are, right? Whether that's appreciation, whether that's cash flow, fix and flip, rentals, short-term rentals, right? Whatever your situation is, definitely reach out to us if you need some help. So anything else you want to add for that?
Nope, not on that part. I think in
Okay.
closing, I think my thoughts are is that, hey, look, we're here to make decisions, to make moves. And my thoughts are is that you don't want to have to wait for the market to say, hey, it's okay because interest rates are low, right? You
Right.
want to be able to jump in, create a strategy no matter what situation you're in, and make the numbers work, right? Now, when
Mhm.
I say make the numbers work, that doesn't mean force something that don't work to work. It means
Yep.
find something that the numbers work, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, it's kind of like people who invest in stocks, right? Like if you don't really invest in stocks and you're like, hey, when's a good time to buy, right? You may be waiting for that big dip, right? And then you're like, okay, I see the big dip. I have the money sitting here. All right, let me go all in, buy it, right? Is that the better strategy? Like, is that the bottom? How do you know tomorrow or a week later it doesn't go more, right? So when people who invest in stocks, right, they're like, hey, buy a little bit every day, right? What do they call it? Dollar cost average, or whatever it is, right?
Mhm,
I don't buy stocks, so I don't know, but basically, you buy a little bit at a time, okay, so that
yeah.
you don't just like try to time it, like boom, all of a sudden, okay, yeah, I think that's the bottom. Let me go buy, and then next week it goes even farther, and you're like, now you look like an idiot.
Mhm, mhm,
so, so yeah, you gotta slowly get in. Same thing with real estate investing. I mean, nobody knows, nobody has a crystal ball. If you have the funds ready to go, you have the strategy, you have the connections, the resources, go do it now, right? Um, we don't know when the crash is coming. Nobody knows, right? When the interest rate's going to dip, nobody really knows. But if that's all you're waiting for, well, everybody else is waiting for the same thing, right? So if you're waiting
mhm,
for people to tell you now's the time, well, everybody else is waiting too, right? So good
mhm,
luck. Um, but if you're constantly looking, you're prepared, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, right? You're going to continue to build, whether it's good, whether it's bad, right? You're going to get through it. So that's the biggest thing, biggest takeaway there. And recently for me, I mean, what's your investor outlook that you're seeing in your market in Minneapolis? Is there still a lot of good deals? Still a lot of investors that you're working with buying? What's it look like for you?
Yeah, so there's still a lot of investors. Investors are still buying. They're still pretty busy, but I think that a few of them went too fast, not anticipating the turn of the market, and so
Mm,
those guys are slowing up a little bit simply because of cash flow, right?
yep.
And so, and when I say cash flow, I mean like they're not able to dispose their properties as fast as what they had anticipated, and
Mm,
so some of them they've had to turn over to a rental property or something like that, which means that all of their money is stuck in that specific property. And so,
mm,
if you're talking about flippers, they're not going as fast anymore. If you're talking about investors, like I still got investors that are looking for duplexes and multifamily.
mm,
I still got investors that are still looking for flips, right, to see if there's a flip that is a good opportunity. Shoot, I mean, a while back we talked about me doing a flip. If I saw a flip that was going to be right and it was going to work, and let's say, for example, I think that there's going to be a market correction of about 10%. I just throw that in there into the strategy, right? Okay, there's going to be a market correction of 10%. So subtract that out as well. And if the numbers work, dude, I jump on it. So I myself am still looking now. Um, like I said to earlier in the podcast, our home prices are still increasing. So the days in the market is increasing, but so are the home prices. So my thoughts are is that at some point in time, we're hoping to see some kind of a stabilization where the homes are affordable enough for people to afford to buy them, as well as the sellers are willing to go ahead and sell it at the amount that it needs to be sold at. So and my thoughts are is that that's probably going to be coming in these next winter months. But of course, a lot of people in the Twin Cities here, what they do is, hey, if it doesn't sell by the end of August, they take it off the market, they hold on to it until early spring. So
mm.
we'll see what happens.
That's true. That's true. Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, on my end here in Milwaukee, we still have good deals. We still have good deals. Last couple weeks, I've been seeing a lot of good deals in the suburbs, in the inner city, all over. One of my clients just landed. He just won two flips, pretty decent deals.
Nice.
And so we're working through those. I think we almost had a third one too, but that one didn't work out. But uh, yeah, I mean the deals are still out there, so it's just be prepared, keep looking, and be ready. So, and if you're ready to start investing, right? Whatever your situation is, right? Everybody's situation is a little bit different. Reach out to us if you need help, right? If you're Johnny's in Minneapolis, Twin Cities, I'm in Milwaukee. We're realtors, we're loan officers and investors as well. So we're actually licensed in a lot of states now.
Mhm.
And so on the loan side, we definitely help you out with a lot of stuff. The DSCR loans, I mean, most states we don't need to be licensed in. Um, but yeah, so definitely keep us in mind for that. Um, Anything else you want to add before we head up?
Yeah, that's it, man.
So I thought I had something else to say, but kind of forgot. So, oh well. That's it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully this information was valuable. Oh yeah, I forgot. I remember now. So like yeah, as we're getting towards the end of the year now, it's already August, right? So we got what 4 months left, right? 4 months left in the year, right? Is my math correct? So
Yeah.
yeah, 4 months a year left. Obviously, if you're an investor or if you're a high income earner and you don't want to pay a lot of taxes, better finish your tax strategy. Better finish your
Move a
tax
house.
strategy, right? Buy an investment property, short term rental loophole, right? If you don't know about that, hit us up. But you only got so long before the year's over, right? And
Mhm.
so if you've been fortunate to make a lot of money and you don't want to pay a lot of money back, get working on that plan. So that's it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll end this. I do have a couple of things to say to add to what you're saying. You said 4 months, right? So in August, if you count August, that'd be the fifth month. However, we can't even count August because it takes you about 30 days to get the loan to go through, right? So if you
Mhm.
need financing, you need to get your stuff done as soon as possible. Even though we might be able to close in like 2 weeks or something like that, it doesn't mean that that's the goal, right? The goal is to get it done before the end of the year, get the house on the market so that you can actually market it, and then get someone in the property to be able to get some kind of income before you can claim some of that accelerated depreciation if you're doing a short-term rental. So you need to jump on that as fast as possible. And with that said, guys, this is pretty much all that we have. This is episode 31. Want to make sure that you like and subscribe and comment below if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, any thoughts of new episodes that you guys want to see us come out with. Please reach out to us, let us know. And outside of that, I think that's all that we have. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
All right, later.